tea time. Hey guys, welcome back to Oil Life. This isn't tea, this is coffee, but you get the point. Today we're going to be spilling the tea on Spring Awakening, but before we get into it, hi, welcome back. I'm Ashley. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're new here, thanks. Make sure you click that subscribe button. But a little bit about me. I'm Ash and I am a rave mom and mom in real life, and I make content all around self-care, bucket lists, and of course raves and festivals, which is why we're here today. So Spring Awakening just announced the dates for 2020, and everyone in Chicago, which is where I live, is buzzing around the tea from the last 2 months. If you don't already know, SAMF is Chicago's largest EDM music festival, and unfortunately, the Midwest festival scene is very few and far between. We have Movement, which is in Detroit, Electric Force, which is in Michigan. Both are not in Chicago. There is Lollapalooza, but that is mostly well known for being a multi-genre festival. It is not an EDM festival, so we're lacking here. I will say that way back when we did have EDC Chicago, and we did used to have Freaky Deaky as well, which is also takes place now in Texas. There used to be 2 locations, and those were beloved by all, but it hasn't been years since we've had those festivals. So the Chicago rave scene really revolves around smaller shows, sets, and raves, and you know, we don't really get too ravey here just because we don't really have the opportunity. Just want to send a shout out and SOS to any event planner or promoter out there. We need some more festivals in Chicago. It's 2020. I know Pasquale has been announcing about doing possibly more EDC locations for 2021. So fingers crossed for EDC Chicago, because we would love to see a comeback. I know that my friends out east are excited about the possibility of an EDC New York. Let's bring EDC Chicago back in 2021. I digress. Let's get back into Spring Awakening. So Spring Awakening started in 2008 by React Presents, which is a festival and content festival promotion company here in Chicago, and it's grown significantly over the past 2 years. React Presents produces 4 festivals. You have Spring Awakening Music Festival, North Coast Music Festival, Forever Festival, and then you have Somerset. Spring Awakening specifically has had many venues over the years. It started in a theater in 2008, and wow, it's definitely grown since then. It moved to the beloved Soldier Field where the Bears play, and that is probably the most notable and favorite venues that it's had. And then it moved to Adams Medell Park, which is in Pilsen. That is a very well-known Hispanic community in Chicago, so it brings the vibrancy of that community. But there were some noise ordinance problems at that venue, so it ended up moving last year to Hoffman Estates, which is in the Chicago suburb. And it's about, I would say, like 45 minutes to an hour outside of downtown Chicago. Before we get into kind of what's going on this year, I did want to share a little bit about my connection with the festival and why I love it so much. So I would say I have a special connection with this festival. It was my very first festival. I had been raving since 2010, but I hadn't gone to a full festival until 2014, which it was Spring Awakening 2014, and I was lucky and privileged to see Spring Awakening in its last year at Soldier Field, and it was so unforgettable. First time I saw many acts like Zed, Hardwell, Duke Dumont. I had already seen Afrojack, but it was nice to see him again, Tiesto. That was kind of my intro into, or reintroduction to the EDM community, because I had grown up on house, but you know, this was kind of my first taste of that festival experience. I'll share more about my history with raves and festivals in another video, but since 2014, I have gone back to Spring Awakening 3 times. So I also went in 2018 when it was at Adams and Mills, and then I went back this past year when it was in Hoffman Estates. I took a short hiatus in between there, obviously from 2014 and 2018, because there's a lot of things going on in my life. Most notably, I ended up having my son. and so I had to take care of him. But I did go back last year. If you're wondering what the festival is like, then make sure you check out my 2019 vlogs. I will put an eye up here. We ended up going 2 of the days. It is a 3-day festival, and we ended up going 2 days. So make sure that you check those vlogs out. It'll give you kind of a taste of what the festival is like. 2019 was everything. They had a new solstice stage, which is SAMF's main stage, and it was gorgeous. It resembled the Chicago skyline. Also around that time, Martin Garrix had injured himself, so Cascade ended up stepping in and doing a surprise epic set on Sunday that was truly unforgettable. But after such a great year last year, there were so many rumors swirling around about SAMF. And they kind of went on a hiatus, a social media silence, as you will, after the festival. Typically, they announce a pre-sale and the dates around November, December, usually late fall, early winter, and we heard nothing. And people really started to question if there was gonna be a festival at all. Then the news came. React Presents announced that it was being bought by LiveXLive. LiveXLive is a company that streams festivals throughout the year, and it most notably streams EDC Las Vegas. And with this change, obviously there were some unanswered questions that people were curious about. And following that announcement, there were even more conflicting information and reports about the festival, if it would happen again or if it would change venue. And most notably, people were saying that it was going to change to Union Park, which is a smaller venue. It is actually a park in downtown Chicago. There's some concerns about that. This is the same venue that once held North Coast, which is another festival, as I mentioned, that React Presents puts on. While many were excited about having the festival, the prospect of having the festival back into the city, for it to be closer to the after parties, which was definitely a letdown from last year, many were and are worried right now about the smaller size. And there were also rumors that the festival was gonna go down from 3 days, as I mentioned before, to 2, which wasn't a good sign for how the company was going and the company's health overall. So finally, Papi Spring, which is the social media account that Spring Awakening has, put us out of our misery this week, and they announced on Thursday the dates for 2020, which will be June 12th through the 14th. And yes, it would be in Union Park, which has sparked quite the debate on social media and online. So what are my thoughts? Here is my list of pros and cons for this festival. So pros, the stages. Every year I feel like Spring Awakening has really good set and stage design. Since I've been going in 2014, I think that the designs are beautiful. The lights and the lasers, the pyro, the techniques, all of that are beautiful. And especially this past year, if you haven't seen the stage, check it out. It is gorgeous. Like, we were blown away. Me and my crew, we were completely blown away when we saw it this year. The sound quality is pretty good. Like, you can hear the music pretty well. The only issues is that we have heard conflicting issues with some people complaining about sound bleed, but honestly, you get sound bleed at any festival. If a festival has multiple stages, you're gonna get sound bleed. That's just the nature of being outdoors, in my opinion. I would say that the sound quality is pretty good. The lineup is usually pretty stacked. I mean, we have all of the big headliner EDM acts and even some of the smaller ones, as well as last year, I believe in one of the stages, it was completely overtaken by a Juno Beats and a Juno Deep, so all of Above and Beyond artists were at that stage. So you are getting top-notch, top-tier acts that are performing at this festival. Also, the Plur vibes are on point. You really can feel the love of Chicago, of the local community. Everybody talks to each other. Nobody gives a cold shoulder. And I would have to say that, you know, in terms of Plur, like, I felt the most Plur, sorry to say, at Spring Awakening last year. I know that EDC kind of had its issues with the weather, but I made so many connections at Spring Awakening last year. I traded a lot more candy last year. I met some of the local people that I've been talking to online, and I really felt a sense of community. And it's also very celebratory. This festival really celebrates the origins of EDM because Surprise! Chicago is the home of house music and in the start of EDM as we know it today, and you really get the sense of that here at this festival. And another pro is that it's moving back to the city. So now that it will be back into the city, there'll be so many other things that you can do in the city if you're staying here for the weekend. The sights and all of the beautiful eats and the culture that Chicago brings, you'll have that in the city. And it'll also be closer to the after parties, and they put on some really good after parties from some of the acts that perform the festival. What are my cons? So my con right now is, the venue is changing again. Like I said, it's been to many different places over the years, and with the venue changing, it comes some uncertainty. Understanding how the layout's gonna be, if the sound bleed's gonna be worse, will there be access to parking? I do feel that's another con, is that parking has always kind of been an issue with Awakening. Even when it was in the city, it's kind of like you had to figure out kind of where you're gonna park your car, and you have to walk a distance. Last year in Huffington, it was even worse. It was probably a few miles that you had to walk to and from the venue to get to your cars. And that was probably the biggest complaint out of everything, and it might have been the reason why they ended up changing the venue. Smaller venue this year. So with that, there's questions of how many stages there's gonna be. I think last year there were 3 or 4, and like smaller, like kind of like small stages or feature stages like the Corona Beach, or they did have this thing that kind of resembled an art car in that vein, like a big boombox, and they had some acts played there. So, going from maybe say 5, 6 stages, or including the mini stages, to only 2 or 1, that is concerning for sure. And it also calls into question what's gonna happen with the acts and the lineup. Then obviously uncertainty around the timing. So they announced it and it's only 3 months away. Like I said, it's June 12th and 14th. And then also uncertainty about the new management. We don't know much about xoxo other than our experiences with it being a streaming service. So how is that gonna come into play with organizing a festival? So you're probably wondering then, Ash, like with all of this information, what are you gonna do? And my answer is, I'm most likely gonna go to Spring Awakening this year. Super excited. This festival really has a special place in my heart. And as I mentioned, I am a huge advocate for supporting local Chicago rave scene. So I want to make sure that we come out and we show out for this festival. I've decided I'm going to go into this festival season, into Spring Awakening season, with a positive mindset. And I'm really excited to see the lineup. And also I've been paying attention to the details coming from Spring Awakening itself, and it did put my mind at ease. So yesterday, Papi Spring put out some more tweets about kind of the production, how they're moving some things around, and they're really gonna maximize the space in Union Park. They're really gonna put on a production that Union Park has never done before, and that really did put my mind at ease. Also debunked that there's gonna be more than 2 stages, that there won't only be 1 or 2, and that makes me feel good to keep that kind of festival feel. So just like any other festival, Spring Awakening is known for having multiple stages, and they typically cover multiple genres. So I'm excited that they won't be limited in the lineup and in the amount of different types of sounds and the culture in Chicago. Also think that production quality is just so great over the past 3 times that I have gone, that it's worth trying. We know that the Solstice stage is gonna be back, and we know that they're gonna bring that quality. So I say give it a shot. Obviously the lineup will tell, but I definitely think that it is worth giving it a shot this year. So with that, I'll keep you guys posted on any updates, and I'll also have a lineup video coming out once the lineup is released. So make sure that you stay tuned and check that out. And also, I'm excited to announce that I am a Pollen member. I decided to join Pollen this past summer so that my circle, you guys, and of course my friends have access to discounted tickets. So if you are interested in going this year, make sure you hit me up at oralife@ash on Instagram. Also do note that if you purchase through me, you will get a discount. I believe it's about a 10 or 15% discount, which completely eliminates all of those extra fees for will call and all of that. I'll also be able to share some of the additional perks with you guys through this channel. Pre-sales will be starting this upcoming week on Tuesday, March 3rd. So again, if you're interested, make sure that you DM me on Insta. So what are all your thoughts about Spring Awakening this year, guys? I want to know all the deets, so make sure that you sound off below. If you liked this video, make sure you click thumbs up and make sure you hit that subscribe button for more videos. Make sure you click the bell to get notified when new videos post so you don't miss the next one. And remember, positive self, positive wealth. Bye, guys.